we are diving into a topic that's crucial for everyone: retirement planning. Specifically talking about Social Security. If you think Social Security will be enough to sustain you in your golden years, think again. With the government's shaky track record in managing funds, relying solely on Social Security could leave you high and dry. But don't worry, I've got you covered. In this episode, we are revealing why it's essential to take charge of your own retirement. We'll uncover the secrets of compound interest, show you how to make your money work harder for you, and provide actionable tips to secure your financial future. Imagine having the freedom to actually enjoy retirement without financial worries. It is possible, and it starts with the decisions you make today. So stay tuned, because this episode just might change your life. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control: ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing that we can control: ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smarter financial decisions. If this is the first time you're joining in, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and to be notified of all the new episodes on Rumble. Go ahead and follow and like the video. And if you're on a podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like and share this episode. Today, we're talking about Social Security. And if you think Social Security is enough to sustain you throughout all of your retirement years, you may be headed down a very treacherous path. The government in charge of your retirement does not sound good. The government in charge of many things do not sound good. And if you think that relying on Social Security, which is a government-backed program, is going to be your retirement, everything, it is going to end in a devastating fashion. So we've seen it. We've seen the government, rack up outrageous amounts of debt. We see the government funneling money out of this country to other countries without much reason at all. It's kind of like sending a company money that you don't even owe a bill to, right? Like just sending them money. It's like, hey, just thought you may need this. Not really sure why I'm sending it, but just felt like sending it. So not a good track record for managing money. Yet if you rely on Social Security, you are absolutely saying, please, government, take care of me when I can no longer take care of myself. Just think about it. When you go into retirement, sometimes it's by choice people retire. Great for them, right? Because if they're choosing to retire, that means that they probably have set themselves up financially and they're able to do so. Most people are not going to walk into a fire and without a plan, right? So hopefully they were just voluntarily choosing to retire. They have a plan. If some people are forced to retire, meaning that they just can no longer work. They just can't provide value to a workforce, and they need to retire, whether that be age, whether that be any type of physical ailment or condition that prevents them from working, and they just need to go into retirement and go ahead and get out of the workforce. And that if that's you, if that ends up being you, and your only sole source of retirement income is going to be Social Security, you may be in trouble. You will be in trouble. Let me be very frank. You will be in trouble. But don't worry. That's as far negative as I'm going to go. We're going to drive out of this hole now, because the worst thing to do if you're stuck in a hole is keep digging, right? So don't do that. So let's start driving this up, and let me show you. I've got you covered, because this episode, I'm going to cover why it is so essential to take charge of your own retirement. I'm going to talk through compound interest. I'm going to kind of show you how money through time will work hard for you and provide you some actionable tips and steps that you can take to secure your financial future. Because if you are in that retirement folks that say that they are not choosing, but they are kind of forced to retire, the worst thing that could happen is that you're not financially prepared for it, because you don't know when that could come, right? So the best thing that we can do is start preparing for it today. Now, where I want to start is a history lesson, but not because of the history is going to provide, that I just wanted to tell you a history lesson. Like, there's some value here to what this history lesson really means. So the biggest thing, and let me just say, the reason I wanted to go over this history lesson, because it shows you why people that rely on Social Security today are not going to be able to make it the same way that they would probably think that they could, right? So history lesson. History lesson starts here. Social Security Act, signed into law by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1935, totally meant to be a safety net for the elderly. You can see right here, elderly, unemployed, and disadvantaged Americans. The main stipulation of the original Social Security Act was to pay financial benefits to retirees over 65 based off lifetime payroll tax contributions. That's all I'm going to read of that, but I did want to read it word for word. And this is a quick article. I'll definitely put it in the link. It's actually a really good, it's by a History Channel. It's a really good article about Social Security and going through this. And man, it's got a lot of good information. It talks about the future of Social Security and all that good stuff. But the biggest thing, and the reason why I wanted to show that, was that Social Security was never intended to be the sole source of retirement income. Because you have to think back to when Social Security started. What was the economy like back then, right? What was the economy like back then? Social Security came out around the same time frame-ish, right? People were getting starting to work for like pensions and things like that. And back then, pensions were popular. Social Security made it this far because pensions were so popular. And with that being said, a pension was providing people somewhere around 50% of their normal pay. So if you stopped working and you were making, let's say, $5,000 a month for easy math, the pension was probably going to pay you $2,500 of that $5,000. Therefore, you only need to make up 50% of your income somewhere else from another source, and you would be okay, right? So you never got your full income amount when you devoted your whole entire work life to a company and then they paid you this pension, but you got a decent amount, right? Half of it to not even work for them anymore. It's pretty good. So Social Security was meant to help. I saw numbers that showed like it's like 40%. That like Social Security was meant to provide like 40% of that comfort net, to that safety net for people that are retired. Now, today, Social Security is facing significant financial challenges, right? Because we have an aging population, we have fewer workers, right? Like the aging population is a big thing. As people are getting older, and a lot of people are getting older faster. You can't get older faster. Let me backtrack. You have like baby boomers. There's more people getting older at the same time, simultaneously. Let me say, you cannot get older faster. That is an accurate statement. But you've got more people that are drawing on this, and it's facing challenges, right? So system's a little bit under strain, and we also no longer have pensions. So you can see where we have a problem, a huge problem, right? People are not taking ownership of their retirement, and the thing that may be that safety net for them is under strain. We have a problem. If we lose the safety net, right? If we lose our emergency parachute and our main parachute goes out, we have nothing left. We're free falling, right? Not a good thing. Therefore, it's very, very important that you take control of your retirement. Many people thought Social Security, and still today people think Social Security will support them in retirement. It was only designed to replace, like I said, I've seen a few numbers, but around 40% of pre-retirement income. If there's cuts to this, and there's potentially cuts to it, there's potentially changes to how it operates, that means that if you put all your eggs in the Social Security basket, you could be in trouble. So what I wanted to talk about today is how to help you take control of that. How to maybe, I want to start off with some motivation. I want to show you some motivation around why it's so important. Then I'm going to talk through how to plan and take control, and then give you a couple of tools and tips that you can utilize to really start to take this off today. So why? Why am I recommending that you go out there and say, I need to take control of this? Well, the biggest thing about being proactive about retirement planning is that by taking control, you ensure your financial independence, your peace of mind, your flexibility in your retirement years. The worst thing that can happen, like I said, you have two forms of retirees out there. You have those that chose and you have those that were forced. That's the two groups of people that are retired. You want to be in the ones that are chosen or forced, regardless. I don't care if you choose or are forced. I just want you prepped. I want you to be able to have that peace of mind, that flexibility, that financial independence, that no stress retired life. That's what I want you to have. That's why you should take control, because no matter how old you are, there's something you should be doing today to prep for that. There's absolutely something you should be doing today to prep for that. I don't care if you're 10, I don't care if you're 20, I don't care if you're 50. There's something you should be doing to prepare. And that's could be more, it could be contributing more, which most age group that would be helpful. It could be adjusting where money is allocated, what investments you're involved in, right? Like it could be a lot of those things. Reducing risk as you're getting your retirement timeline is also reducing. There's something that you could be doing to prep that could help you take control of your retirement year. So the first place I like to start anytime I talk retirement is the power of compound interest. Albert Einstein said that is the eighth wonder of the world, and it is one of the most powerful tools in your retirement planning arsenal, right? Most important tool. But what I wanted to show you is probably my favorite thing to show when I'm talking about retirement. This is off investor.gov. If you're listening on a podcast, I am going to walk through this because it's very valuable. But one of the greatest things, this is my motivation pitch, and I hope it works for you because this most of the time will get people excited about saving for retirement, excited about investing, excited about building wealth. Like this example, I'm building it up, but I hope that the plane lands nicely. So this is an example that's going to compare two things. What I want to show you is how money doubles based off of time, not off of dollar amount, right? Money doubles based off of time, not dollar amount. Say that again. What I want to show you is the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing, and it's literally why Albert Einstein says the eighth wonder of the world. So if we started out with $1,000 and we contributed nothing, we just let the $1,000 grow on its own at an 8% return. Ignore the 20 here; it doesn't matter. You could, as long as in this example, as long as it's 10, you'd be okay. But 8% return, starting with $1,000 in the bank, in an investment, in a retirement account, IRA, 401k, whatever, at an 8% return. Here's what I want to show you. I don't even care to look at how much you'll have in 20 years. This chart is what I want you to look at. I want you to see that it takes 9 years. 9 years for $1,000 just sitting there to turn into $2,000. In this example, it's $1,999. I got it. But for it to turn into $2,000, it takes 9 years just sitting there. The only number I'm changing here is the 1,000. And I'm going to put in 500,000, right? 500,000 and hit calculate. Same thing. What I want to show you is that it takes a $500,000 account 9 years to turn into $1 million, right? 9 years. Remember, it's time that allows money to double, not dollar amount. It takes 9 years for 1,000 to turn into 2,000. It takes 9 years for 500,000 to turn into 1,000,000, right? So think about that. If you're 30 years old right now, and you have the capability to get to 500,000 by 40, that means, I don't know how much money you started with, but in 10 years, if you could somehow get yourself to 500,000 in retirement by 40, you will be a millionaire at 50 at an 8% return. You will be a millionaire at 50, right? That's what's so crucial, is that this is a time-based event. It's a time-based event. It's a time-based event. It takes time to double, and it doesn't matter. The time is the factor that you care about, right? Because you only have a finite amount of time. You can get as much money as you want. But if I could go back up here as an example, and I could say, well, if I put in 1,000,000, I'm going to do exactly what you thought. In 9 years, that's going to be 2,000,000. So we go to 9 years and we're at 2,000,000, right? So your money is doubling every 9 years at an 8% return. Now, you can come to this fancy calculator. You can go through this, but there's a better tool out there called the Rule of 72. And it's all over the place, but the Rule of 72 just 72 divided by the rate of the return tells you how many years it's going to retire. But in this, and I'll put a link to this page right here, but pretty much this is a rate of return in years to double chart. So if your money, depending on your annual rate of return, you could say that's how many years it would take for your money to double. So if you got a 10% return on your money, which the market averages between 8 and 10, you could be between 7 and 9 years double your money. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. But this is just a quick chart. You can quickly look at and say, yeah, I'm gonna plan. I'm gonna prepare based on this, an 8%, maybe more conservative. You say, I'm going to choose 7% and just take the 10 years and make this easy math. Like whatever the case is, you just need to figure out what that rate of return is and start planning for that years to double. Because what that does is gives you those little sprints, right? You could say, okay, if I know it takes my money 10 years to double, I'm just rounding to 10, it takes my money 10 years to double, and I want to have $1 million by 60. Well, that means by 50, I need to be at 500,000. That means at 40, I need to be at 250,000. At 30, I need to be at 125,000, right? You see what I'm saying? So you can kind of backwards plan on what those milestones, what those goals are based off of that rate of return. That can give you an idea of where you're at, depending on where you're trying to go. Now, that moves me into my next part of this conversation is how do you determine where you want to go? When you're thinking about planning, you're thinking about preparing, you're thinking about, getting ready for retirement. How do you plan on what that number needs to be, right? You can say, I just want to be a millionaire. Okay, but how do you know that's all you need? What if you need 2 million, right? Well, that's where we get into the next piece of the planning. So the first part of the plan and the prep is to say, okay, I've got to get motivated. I've got to get committed. I've got to know what my milestones are. I got to know how to get to my milestones, which is what we just did. We utilized the Rule of 72 to figure out kind of what are those milestones along the way and how to get there. Now, let's figure out what that far right limit is. Let's figure out what that total is, and I call that your retirement number, right? You need to know what your retirement number is. If that's $1 million, cool. I just gave you the milestones, the 500,000, the 250, the 125. But what if that is another number, right? Well, you need to figure that out. You need to figure out what is your retirement number. So here's how you get to that. You say, let's assume, and this is an assumption. I did an episode on this about kind of like the 4% rule and is it still effective and all that. I'll put a link to it down in the description. But let's just say that's the withdrawal method that you're using for retirement is the 4%. Well, to figure out what your retirement number is, you need to first say, how much money do I need to live on each year? So if in an example you say, you know what, I need to live on $50,000 a year. That's how much in my retirement years, when I get to 60 years old or whenever I retire, I need $50,000 a year to retire and live comfortably. Well, if you go by the 4% withdrawal rule, to do your math, you would say 50,000 divided by 0.04, which is 4%, and that's going to give you your retirement number. It's going to be 1.25 million. That's what you need. If you said, I need $100,000 to live on, well, you need 2.5 million, right? So now you can take your retirement number, that number we just took, which is how much money do you need to live on per year, and divide that by 0.04. That gives you how much money you need to have in retirement money by the time you retire. And then that's how we start to backwards plan. So let's say that you do the 50,000 and you need 0.04, you need 1.25 million to retire. Well, if you want to retire at 60, that means at 50, you need to be at 625,000. At 40, you need to be at 312,000. At 30, you need to be at 156,000. At 20, you need to be at 78,000. See what I'm saying? And that gives you the 10 years to kind of let that double and mosey right along. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you can see those are really the two phases of planning for retirement that I go over with everybody. When I'm thinking through retirement planning, that's what I'm going over. I'm saying, okay, hey, let's figure out what your retirement number is, right? Because everybody's is different. Nobody's is the same. I may can live on 30,000 and you may need to live on 60,000, just how we grew up, what our lifestyle is, what we've developed over the years. Then let's divide that by whatever our withdrawal rate is going to be. So if you're going to have a 4% withdrawal rate, a 5% withdrawal rate, or if you're going to do a variable withdrawal rate, tons of options out there. Not getting into those today, but whatever that is. So if you're going to do a 5% withdrawal rate and you were going to do $50,000, just divide that by 0.05, and that's going to mean you need $1 million, right, on the dot. So anyways, gave you an example for $1 million, so you know exactly how to do that one. But break that out into phases. So say, hey, just on average, it's going to take 10 years for my money to double. So divide it by 2 and go back how many years you need and just figure out what those numbers are. It's going to give you what you need to get there. Now, the key point of all of this, and kind of I'm going to wrap this up, but the key point of all of this is you need to start saving as early as possible. The earlier you start, the more time you have for your money to grow. Remember, money doubles based off time, not amount. So consistency, regular contributions, even if they're small amounts, right? Because if you contribute $50, that $50 in 10 years will be worth $100, right? And you probably didn't contribute $50 once. You probably contributed $50 a bunch of times, right? So it adds up. It really does. Like even $25, like even $50, even $100, like even little amounts add up. So that is so crucial. The other thing that I like to talk about for planning and prepping is you need to align your retirement plan with the risk tolerance and retirement timeline you have. So if you're closer to retirement, you may need to shift to some more conservative investments and really start to lock in some of those gains that you've got. But talk with a financial advisor, talk with someone to help with building that out and making sure that you're, maneuvering that correctly. But get some professional advice around that before you start moving money around. It's just always a good thing to get a second set of eyes. It is your livelihood on the back end when you're no longer able to work that you're talking about here. So it's worth it. Even if it costs a little money, it's worth it. The other thing that I like to tell people as a reminder is if you're currently still working and employed and your employer offers a 401k with matching or anything like that, take the free money. It doubles too. So just remember that and, take full advantage of it if you can, especially if they're offering those matching contributions. It's just free money for your future. So what can you do? Well, the first thing is apply these principles. We just walked through them. We found, I taught you how to get your retirement number. We talked through how to break that out, to understand what your milestones need to be. We talk through the power of compound interest and how it's so vital, so vital to making a difference in your retirement years. But what you need to do to make this all successful, and it always comes back to the foundation of personal finance, is you need to budget for retirement savings. Whether that be the automatic withdrawals from your paycheck through retirement contributions, with a goal of being to try to get to 15% if you're out of debt. If you're completely out of debt, try to get to 15% saving for retirement. But creating a budget is crucial for ensuring that you are allocating money towards retirement savings. You need to identify those areas where you can cut those unnecessary expenses so that you can redirect those funds to your retirement accounts. Tons of tools out there, whether, some of my favorites are Quick and Simplify, Rocket Money, Every Dollar, You Need a Budget, or YNAB. Just a few of my favorites, but go and get you a good financial tool to help. Investor.gov is a great site for doing some calculations around, what your returns will be. It's just a great site to utilize. But you could take, just for example, let's say you had someone that was 25 years old and they wanted to retire at 65. So they've got 40 years of length of time to save at $200 a month with an 8% return. By the time they retire, they would have around $620,000, right? Just change that to someone that is 45 that wants to retire at 65, and this person has $100,000, right? So over $500,000 difference in those 20 years. In 20 years, $500,000 in 20 years. It's just crazy. The key that I can't not go back to is Social Security is not going to be your answer. Relying on Social Security alone is risky, right? If think about this problem. You retire, you did what I recommended. You got your retirement number. You backwards planned. You figured out what those milestones are you need to be at so that it doubles and hits your retirement number on the dot. And then all of a sudden, Social Security is still around. What a good problem to have. What a great problem to have. You hit your retirement number, you have enough money to live on, and now you got extra money coming in. What a good problem to have. And that's the problem that I would want you to have, right? So don't rely on Social Security alone. Take control of your own retirement planning. It's essential to your financial security. But start early, start saving consistently, and take advantage of the compound interest. Don't wait till it's too late. It's always better to start today. So that's my message today, is that really, Social Security is not going to be your answer. It's not going to be that thing that's going to save your retirement. Let it be an add-on if it's around. If it's not around, you took care of business. You listened today, you took action, and you made a difference in your own personal life. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. If you do need someone to help building out this plan, if you do need someone to help making sure you're on the right path, head over to thefinancialmirror.org. Hit book now in the middle of the screen and schedule your free consultation today. If you do want to give an extra dose of support to the stream, head over to thefinancialmirror.org/shop. Pick you up some awesome Financial Mirror gear. Really hope you got something out of this episode. Really hope that this is something that you can apply to your life. It's very applicable information. But don't forget to share it with others. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Continue to get this information out to more listeners, because the best thing we can do together is just to make people more financially aware and making better financial decisions. It's just one of the best things that we can do. Nobody should have to stress about money. Help people plan early, because this episode being the most crucial, time sensitive, because time is what's going to double your money. So hopefully you got something out of it and you're able to get started today. This is a call to action more than anything. I just wanted to give some information so that you could really, really see another point of view. You've probably heard this a million times, but just another point of view to hopefully get you started today. So hope you got something out of the episode. Till next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.